What an introduction. So dramatic. How are we doing, everybody? I want to first start off and say that, Julia, thank you for your first speech. It was incredible. And today my speech is on the topic of the day, but there is nothing more on topic than discussing something of importance like fibromyalgia or whatever disease that somebody's battling. So thank you so much. Today my speech is titled, This Year's for the Birds. Kind of wondering what that means, right? Well, talking football. Hence the Seahawks shirt, our uniform. And it is the season. Today's the preseason. I know we've got probably some Philadelphia Eagles fans. We'll get back to you a little bit. But 1983, I was 8 years old, and it was the first year that I grew up in Seattle, and it was the first year that I actually started liking sports. My my stepfather was a huge sports fan, and he laid on the couch all the time watching it. I didn't understand why as a 7, 8-year-old child, and decided to watch with him. And the original Kurt Warner, Dave Craig, Steve Largent, still in my opinion the best wide receiver that ever lived. And defense that got us to the AFC Championship against the Oakland Raiders, where we got stomped, and that was the beginning of my love of football. Well, right now, this year's for the Birds. So there's 5 teams in the NFL, don't know if you know this, that their mascot is a bird. The first team is the Baltimore Ravens, the Atlanta Falcons, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Arizona Cardinals, and of course the Seattle Seahawks. Baltimore Ravens, we're going to get into a few of the bright spots of each team and then a few of the issues that each team has. And we'll start with the Baltimore Ravens. They've got a great quarterback, well, so-called great quarterback, Joe Flacco, who is got the strongest arm in the NFL. He's a very good quarterback as far as throwing the long ball, but he does lack a little bit of leadership qualities. They have always traditionally had a great defense, but right now their starting quarterbacks were on the injured reserve at the end of last year, and their tight end Dennis Pitta has a chronic hip issue, which we know in football is a very dangerous thing. And their best wide receiver is 36 years old, 3 years younger than me. It's old for football. The Atlanta Falcons, they have a new coaching staff. NFL's worst defense last year. And their starting running back is a guy named Tevin Coleman. Who's that? Philadelphia Eagles. A couple of you in here are Philadelphia Eagles fans. Their starting quarterback is Sam Bradford. Really? Why? Who has suffered a torn ACL in each of the past 2 seasons. And they only know who 2 of their starters are in the secondary. Their offensive line is old and injured. Arizona Cardinals. They're a great team with a solid offensive line. Their defensive secondary is fabulous. But Carson Palmer is their quarterback. He's got a big arm, but he can't win the big game. And he does have ACL problems as well, a couple times in his career. Now we'll get to the Seattle Seahawks. I apologize if I offend anybody in this speech. It's a passion of mine, football. A couple other people here. Seattle Seahawks, why this year will be for the Birds. Seattle will try to become only the 3rd team in NFL history to go to back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls. The other 2 teams were the Miami Dolphins, 1971, they lost to the Dallas Cowboys, 24-3. 1972, they beat the Washington Redskins, 14-7, and became the only team to finish undefeated throughout the whole season. 1973, they beat the Minnesota Vikings, 24-7, so they won 2 out of 3 championships. And we all probably remember, it's in our lifetime, except for Kaylee's, the Buffalo Bills went 4 times in a row. And they lost all 4 times, right? They lost to the Giants, the Redskins, the Cowboys twice. Notice I didn't say Philadelphia Eagles. They were the only NFC East team that were not representing in the Super Bowl in those 4 years. So again, why is this year for the Birds? Is there a weakness for the Seattle Seahawks? Honestly? If there is, it's not blaring. The biggest and most challenging obstacle the Seahawks have to overcome is a young and inexperienced offensive line. Let's talk about the strengths. We'll be up here for a long time. I only got 5 to 7 minutes, so I really only have 2 minutes. Russell Wilson. He has the most wins by any quarterback in the first 3 seasons, and first to go to the Super Bowl 2 out of his first 3 years. Say what you want about him. He's not a great quarterback. I refute that. I believe that if he has good wide receivers and he has to throw more, he will be better. Marshawn Lynch. It's all about that money, boss. Right? That's the quote that he said in the Super Bowl. Sorry. He's just, well, beast mode, right? He's beast mode. Tight end Jimmy Graham. Second best tight end in football. He's 6'7" and can run like a gazelle. Should open up a lot of running room for Marshawn Lynch. Defensive line. Best defensive line in football. A lot of quality depth, and they rotate to keep players healthy and refreshed. Linebackers, best linebackers in football, depth and middle linebacker. Bobby Wagner is probably the smartest and quickest in the game. Secondary. Y'all know, right? Richard Sherman, best shutdown cornerback in the league. Cam Chancellor, come through the hole and then boom, get knocked out. Earl Thomas and company, fast. The Legion of Boom, enough said. Pete Carroll, come on, the rah-rah guy, right? He's probably the only coach in the NFL that I would want my team being coached by if we lost the way we lost in the Super Bowl last year. Most teams would probably deflate and they would not come back. They would not bounce back. Seahawks have led the NFL in total defense. 267 yards a game in 2014, 273 yards a game in 2013, and 306 yards a game in 2012. And points against, 15.9 a game in 2014, 14.4 a game in 2013, and 15.3 points a game in 2012 for the last 3 straight years. Triad of years. No team has ever done that in both categories for 3 straight years. No reason to believe Seahawks won't do it for a 4th straight year. We've got everybody back on defense, and we know that defense wins championships. And now that the Seahawks have added the best offseason acquisition in the NFL in tight end Jimmy Graham, things are looking up in the Northwest. If you ever get a chance to go to the CenturyLink Field to see the Seahawks play, you will have a blast. It is the best home field experience in the NFL. Thank you so much, and I'm excited for this year because it is for the birds.